are Pro Cannabis Media.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of In the Weeds with Jimmy Young. In fact, it's an international edition of In the Weeds with Jimmy Young. We haven't gone north of the border to our friends in Canada for a while, but not only do we have two new friends to Pro Cannabis Media, but we're also going to introduce you to our new Canadian Weed Talk News correspondent. Her name is Debi Facey. Debi, great to see you.
Nice to see you too, Jimmy.
There you
I'm
go.
so happy to be part of the team and to be representing Canada.
Fantastic. And alongside is Cy Williams from High Canada, which is one of the biggest distributed magazines that is pro-cannabis in Canada, in the country. Cy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Jimmy. Thanks for having me. Yeah, High Canada Magazine. We've been around since 2014. We are a monthly cannabis magazine distributed across Canada, where we like to think we're in the know when it comes to all things cannabis, the cannabis industry, the cannabis community, and the cannabis space. So, Jimmy, great to be here and great to talk about all things cannabis in Canada.
There you go, Debi. You guys have it legal federally, and the United States is still screwing around with their laws, even though we hear rumors that perhaps something might be happening this week. But I can't tell you how many times we've heard something will be happening this week, and then nothing happens at the federal level. What has the stigma, has it become more mainstream, Debi? Is it more accepted now that it's federally legal in Canada?
Okay, so I'm going to have to be honest in two ways. So as a general public, it has been. We have noticed that there is a little bit more of an acceptance, and as well as it being okayed. But personally, I find that there is still a stigma. So there's still a stigma when it comes to job opportunities, when it comes to, I want to say, even offenses, and I want to say our charges, but especially when it comes to consumption. It's one of those things that has become very, very backwards when it has to come with being able to consume legally, but in places that is illegal. So we have to go about a lot of the Canadian smoking laws, but it's all backwards because you can't smoke inside and there's nowhere to smoke outside. And so yeah, like it's mainstream and it's accepted, but it's accepted among the community. I don't find it's really necessarily accepted Canadian wise yet, especially with the understanding of it.
That's fascinating. In Massachusetts, of course, we have a medical program since 2013. I've been a member of that program since then. In fact, the first week, and now it's adult use as well. There's over 200 dispensaries in the state of Massachusetts, which is where Pro Cannabis Media is based. But we do have viewers from all over the world, actually, and certainly all over the country. And it's amazing to me that every state, of course, has different laws. Now, Cy, Debi was explaining, even in Massachusetts, the only place in public where you are allowed to smoke is with other cigarette smokers. Is that true in Canada too?
That is absolutely true in Canada. Even most airports will allow you to consume cannabis in Canada in the smoking sections. You know, if you're going out to your bars or restaurants, we have very strict smoking policies, smoke-free policies here in Canada, and that a lot of businesses are mindful of. I've even seen signs in Vancouver, Calgary, and Toronto saying, if you reek like weed, don't come into our restaurant. So there's signs of the times. And to iterate on what Debi had to say about stigma within the Canadian market, you know, we have three very distinct markets here in Canada, and I'm sure you have them in the US as well. And that would be the legal side of it, the legal market, the legacy market, and the indigenous market. And all three are vibrant in their own ways, but we've still yet gotten to the point where, you know, stigma has gotten erased entirely. It certainly is a lot more prevalent now than it was, say, 5 years ago. And that's where the US is right now, where all the different states are kind of kind of coming to the table to try to figure out how that's going to work, not only in the US, but internationally.
Now they don't allow, Debbie, I'm going to go back to you with this question. You can't grow it at home as a homeowner, am I right?
Oh, yes, you can. So
You-
every single person in
Yep.
Canada is allowed to grow up to 4 plants legally.
Great.
Any medical patient is allowed to grow actually up to whatever our medical card lets us
Grow.
have at a time.
Yep.
So my medical card will state that I'm allowed to have 52 grams in a month, or 255 grams in a month. So I can grow up to that amount in a crate of plants. So I would say most likely 8. But
Gotcha.
I still have to do a cycle. So it wouldn't necessarily be me being able to do 8 at a time. It would still have to be like 4 on and 4 off, because I don't have a micro grow, and that's what you have to do is apply for another license in order to grow more than 25 plants, I believe.
Now, Sai, from a business perspective, I don't hear great things about what's going on in Canada now that they've federally legalized it. Obviously, there's going to be some tweaks to the law, I'm going to guess.
Oh, there are going to be tweaks. We went into legalization here in the US with a broad approach. There were groups that went across Canada and got opinions of Canadians to find out what they were looking for in terms of legalization. Right now, the C-45 Act is being rewritten and re-examined. The moratorium on changes on that has come to an end, and we're getting ready for the US invasion into the Canadian market. When NAFTA regulations finally drop and the US has finally figured out how things are going to work there, and 80% of my emails daily now are coming from the US market, waiting to break into a mature market here. It's very interesting. I just want to go back to one of Debbie's points. You can't, any homeowner can grow 4 plants here in Canada unless you live in Manitoba or Quebec, which have outright said no. You're not allowed to grow. So there's a huge class action lawsuit happening in our country, being run by, organized by Toba Grown, where they've organized some of the best cannabis lawyers here in Canada to challenge the federal government and the provincial governments in both Quebec and Manitoba to say, hey, why the hell can't we grow our 4? So just, there's no such thing as an easy answer to any of your questions. It's always going to be a multifaceted answer. I'm just going to warn you up front, Jimmy.
No, that's why
we are getting ready to rewrite our laws and accommodate things and changes that are going to come in. Like right now, we can't use, our packaging is dismal and boring. We can't use celebrity endorsement. We can't use animation or conventional means in any way, shape, or form. The bill is very constricting. It was only meant to open the door on legalization. And, it's going to take many rewrites through many generations before we even begin to get it right.
Yeah. Well,
and
at least you're
companies
trying.
right now are suffering.
Hey, Sai, at least your government is actually trying to get it right, as opposed to the United States government, which can't get anything right because everybody's pointing fingers at each other rather than working together on this. They can't even agree about the banking. And that, to me, is the most basic principle with a new industry. You don't want to be carrying around wads of cash to pay anything. It just boggles the mind.
But the US is getting it right in a lot of places where Canada still has been getting it wrong, right, Debbie?
Exactly. Honestly, I was just going to say, this, when it comes to the bank, it's the complete opposite. You don't see anybody wanting to put it inside a bank. One of the biggest reasons, because there aren't many banks that are actually accepting any sort of money that is connected to cannabis, because they still look at it as laundering, even though it is not laundering in any shape or form. But it is due to the fact that, and I do have to be honest, that there is no way to really define what is the legal money and what is non-legal money. And there is no way to really define who is legally allowed to be selling cannabis and who isn't. Because as of right now, dispensaries are the only ones that are allowed to distribute cannabis. But then again, every other person on top of that has to have some sort of bank account or some sort of account in order to hold the money. So you kind of find a lot more where it trickles down to the actual storefronts where you don't really know what they do, but you know they do something because it is kept somewhere. But
It's still not out in the open. It's still not overly accepted, which I find interesting since up there it's federally legal. But as we know, every province has a different law and stuff, and that goes with the home grow thing. New Jersey just went adult use legal and no home grow. Now they're going to discuss it now. I think they'll actually move in that direction. But in the beginning, all the legislators are just still so fearful of the fervor that this plant will cause in local towns, in their economy, and they can't quite see through the cloud of smoke, if you will, that, can actually see the benefits of this plant. And I have always said this about, I'm going to say this about Mitch McConnell, because he opened up a Pandora's box in 2018 when he pushed through the Farm Bill and allowed hemp to be grown legally in the United States. As we know, hemp is 0.3% THC, which is barely a pinprick of THC. It's not going to get you intoxicated, but no, I was going to say, but there are other states that have legalized Delta 8. Okay, which does get you a little high, and it's legal for Delta 8, but it's not from the plant. It comes from some other, some of it can come from plant. Anyway, it boggles my mind now that we're making some progress, but in cannabis years, as we like to say here, it takes forever to make a decision. Sai, how welcome are cannabis advocates, and do they actually have lobbyists in Canada that are trying to help the industry out get what they need?
Oh, 100%. We've learned right out of the gate that without representation in Ottawa, in our municipalities, and in our provinces, that nothing gets done. A really good example of this is our Cannabis Council of Canada, which is run by the first openly gay MP in Canada, George Smitherman, and it has cannabis caucus members from all three parties, the Liberals, the PCs, and the NDP, and along with 40 CEOs from licensed producers, large to mid-sized licensed producers and processors, and they're having the discussions about how to make things better, how to work with industry, how to work with medical, how to incorporate indigenous, legal, and legacy, because there are still a lot of hurdles. You're not going to get it right the first time, but at least the discussions are being had in Parliament. Like, I was part of an amazing event where 50 of us got to go in and lobby Parliament Hill and talk to leaders and people in decision-making positions when it came to things like taxation and Health Canada and regulations, and decisions are being made and lessons have been learned. We're not going to get them all right even this next go around, but we're going to get a lot more right.
Yeah.
The big problem here in Canada is that there was a green rush, and you're going to see it in the United States as well. And everybody and their aunt and little dog are going to get invested in the cannabis space, thinking it's going to make them their fortune, it's going to make their mark. And 65% of them are going to go bankrupt in the first 2 years. Right. And we're seeing that right now. They're dropping like flies here, Jimmy.
Yeah, no, and I've heard the expression from a dispensary general manager I will not name. It's a race to the bottom. It's a race to bankruptcy. And obviously, I'm an advocate for the plant and for the industry. And I still maintain that there's plenty to go around. But the key, as we all know on this call, educating our legislature, educating the public, and breaking down that stigma, because that is the only way we're going to see progress. And again, what they don't understand, if Mitch McConnell had a sick kid, okay, and cannabis saved that kid's life, all of a sudden he'd be singing a different tune. And that is always what I hear from people who say, cannabis has saved my life, cannabis has changed my life. I hear it from CEOs, C-level. I hear it from attorneys. I hear it from football players. I hear it from basketball players. It's an amazing thing when you hear those stories about how this plant has positively impacted people's lives. Now, granted, we all have to learn how to use it responsibly. It's what I preach on a
Absolutely.
You
regular
also have to
basis.
learn to sell it.
Right. But
Sell it properly.
right, well, we all know that you need to buy it before, because I don't like to grow anything. I have a black thumb and I really don't want to kill any other plants. I've killed way too many plants in my life, and I just don't want the responsibility of something like killing a plant that would be somebody's medicine, for crying out loud. So anyway, I do want to wrap this up because this has been a great tease for what goes on in Canada. And Debi, you're going to have to not only report on some stories, but explain the differences between what goes on in Canada and what goes on in the US as our We Talk News correspondent in Canada. You are looking forward to this, aren't you?
Not really. I'm actually like beyond excited about it.
Okay.
And I'm actually really pumped, especially being able to really I don't want to say further educate, but to further spread the knowledge of how we are operating and how we aren't operating, and hopefully be able to exchange and learn from each other of how to make things work, because you guys know what you're doing ish. We know what we're doing ish. And I feel like two ishes will make one like awesome ishy will be like, complete. So yeah.
That's great. Hey, Sai, give your magazine a plug. How do people find it? Give out your website. Go ahead.
So we are available for free digital download off our website, www.highcanada.net. We just put out a new issue of High Europe magazine, available as of yesterday. And by Thursday this week, we'll have our newest issue of High Canada magazine, issue number 74, all summer fun, available on the website as well.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on surviving. And now hopefully you get to thrive in this industry. And I wish you the best of luck. Debi, we're so looking forward to your reports on We Talk News every week. And welcome to the team. So for Debi Facey and Cy Williams, I'm Jimmy Young from Pro Cannabis Media. Remember, it's a whole new world of weed out there. Use it responsibly. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Hey, you want to grow your own plants? Check out Style Lighting's Grow Kit. It has everything you need to become an expert home grower and bring the power of the sun indoors. Style Lighting uses TCP's high-powered commercial LEDs that deliver twice the output in the market. The Grow Kit has a grow bag, a timer, chains to hang the light, and of course the best in the business lighting system by TCP. Check out stylelighting.shop for more information. Weed Talk and In the Weeds are two productions of Pro Cannabis Media supported by Revolutionary Clinics, one of the top medical cannabis dispensaries in the Massachusetts area, now with 3 locations in Greater Boston, 2 in Cambridge and 1 on Broadway in Somerville. Rev Clinics has a patient-first mission. They will customize your needs as a medical patient with the proper titration and combination of strains, flavors, and products. Rev Clinics, where the patient comes first.
We are Pro Cannabis Media.